Hey guys, it's Miles here. Just a quick message before we start the episode. Andy and I are taking a very, very short break from the podcast. We're taking a month away, and because we upload every 2 weeks, that's only 2 episodes that we won't be uploading for, and that's because Andy is getting married, and he's asked me to be his best man. So next weekend, Andy's getting married, and there's lots of things happening, and I'm then taking a week's holiday. So there's quite a lot of things going on, so we decided that the best thing to do was just to take a little bit of time off the podcast so that we're not putting out rubbish content. We want to make sure that the episodes are always great and that the research is on point and that the giggles are there and everything. So we wanted to make sure that we weren't just making episodes for the sake of it. So we think the best thing to do is to take a break. And I just hit my... I'm getting so animated, I just hit my hand against my desk because I'm that passionate about creating great content for you guys. But anyway, we're taking a month away and we'll be back on Monday the 2nd of May. So stick the date in your diaries and we'll be back before you know it. Thanks for sticking around and I hope you guys enjoy this special episode because it's our 20th. Thanks a lot and yeah, see you soon. What? The food? What? I mean, this is an area of history that's just like so deep.
Hand over the baguette.
Themes of empire, mission, inheritance, and destiny. Hello and welcome back to What the Food. This is a podcast that aims to uncover the fascinating origin stories behind dishes, food items and drinks from all around the world, both popular and obscure. What are we taking a look at today, Andy?
Today, Miles, firstly shout out for the new intro. That was don't think I didn't notice that. I was very off the dome and very clever. Well done.
I've been saying for the last 2 episodes that I was going to do it.
You have.
I've done it.
On this special momentous occasion, you've done it. You've done it. Episode number 20. Well done, mate. Completed podcasting.
We've completed it.
Yeah.
Credits are rolling.
Any moment now, NordVPN will send us that check. We can sell out to Spotify. Job done.
Harry's Shavers.
Yep. It's definitely not called Harry's Shavers, lad.
It's called Harry's, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not called Harry's Shavers.
No. Harry's, NordVPN, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
What's isn't there like a sex company as well? Like a...
Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve, that's it.
Yeah.
Adam and Eve, that's a popular one.
Anyway, what are we covering in this very special episode? Well, today we are heading, for the first time I think, down to the land of the rising sun to take a deep dive into the origins of tempura.
Tempura.
You ever had tempura?
I had tempura prawns. Well, I don't know why I was saying
tempura pounds.
I don't know why when you introduced this and you said I say tempura, but I guess it's not. I guess it's not that, is it? It's tempura.
I say
you
tempura.
just kind of give it tempura.
It's not got an E in it, is it? Like tempura.
No, I guess not. So I've just had a moment where I've realised I've been saying it wrong forever.
Oh, well, there you go. You've learned something already.
straight away.
Straight off the bat. Straight from the title of the episode.
It's not tempura, it's tempura.
I mean, it might be tempura. I might be saying it wrong, to be fair.
Nah, Andy.
Come on, mate.
Tempura. Have I had tempura? Yes, I have. Usually with prawns. Tempura prawns.
Usually with prawns. Interesting.
Like crispy. We're talking about the crispy batter here, aren't we?
Yeah. We'll get into what it is in a second.
Cool.
But yeah, we're talking about the crispy batter. Yeah.
Yeah. All right then.
Enjoy it? Big fan?
Yeah, love it. Very crunchy, crispy, tasty.
Did you eat it on a stick or?
No, just like tail on prawns. Grab them by the tail.
Oh, so you ate it from the tail end onwards?
No. As in, I gripped it with the little tail bit you don't eat, the prawn bit that you don't eat.
Oh, you don't eat that? Oh, it's the best bit of that.
The crunchy flavour's it's all in there, mate. It's the best bit.
Yeah. That's what they used to swim.
Yeah, so it gets all the salt in it.
It's like a whisk.
That's disgusting. That is disgusting. No, what I was going to say is when you just said it's the best bit, it reminded me when I was young, and I used to eat, when I was eating bacon, I used to hate the fat. I used to trim the fat off my bacon.
When you were eating bacon, it was like a regular thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just like packed lunch at school eating rashers of bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah, teacher in year 3. That's an interesting lunch, Miles.
Just got 16 pack of cooked bacon.
Yeah, get fucked. No, no, I wasn't doing that. But my dad always used to be like, "Why are you cutting that off? It's the best bit." And I was like, "It's not the best bit. It's fucking grim." But as I've got older, I've kind of realised, maybe, well, not necessarily the best bit. I don't think the fat is the best bit. Otherwise, we'd just all be going around eating lard sandwiches. But it does provide a lot of the flavour. I'll give my dad that. But anyway, tempura, prawns. I've had it. It's nice.
You've had it. It's nice. You've had it in a Japanese restaurant, or you made it yourself, or
both. I think like it's usually like a starter, isn't it? Like a little yo sushi. Maybe yo sushi. I've had it before.
Yeah, you've never been to like a tempura restaurant type vibe.
There's tempura restaurants.
Yeah. Of course there is. Yeah.
Really?
The only thing they sell is tempura. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, man. We'll get into it, but
that's I can't get my head around that. Like everything with crispy coating on it.
Mm-hmm. Everything, absolutely everything. Yeah, of course there is. Of course there's tempura restaurants.
What? That's way too much crunch.
Personally, I love it. Absolutely love tempura. Ordered it loads of times, especially when I was in Tokyo. Humble brag.
Been everywhere. You
went to many of tempura restaurants. Good stuff. Bit of dipping sauce. That tentsuyu dipping sauce all over it. Now I don't know if you know this or not, but I actually have a bit of a spiritual connection with tempura as well. You see, the 7th of January is actually National Tempura Day.
Whoa!
And do you know what else is on the 7th of January?
Your birthday.
My fucking birthday. I was born. I'm half tempura, basically. It's in my blood.
When you came out of the womb, you were just crispy.
Crispy. On a stick.
Little tempura. The stars are aligned. We've come full circle. Here we are. Tempura.
Yeah, I'm going to get my gravestone shaped as just a nice fried prawn tempura.
Yeah, co-op funeral care. I've lost my best mate Andy, and his last thing that he wanted was he wanted his gravestone to be covered in tempura batter. Is there anything you can do to help me out with that?
Yeah, you don't leave flowers, you just leave the fresh tempura.
Little crispy prawns. Yeah.
Just rife with wolves all over my grave.
Later on in the meeting with the funeral parlour. And next thing is coffin. I know it's a big bulky object, but any chance you could cover that in tempura as well?
Wow, big bulky object. You call me fat?
No, I just meant
I'd fucking help it. I should just die, mate. Come on.
Can you cover that in tempura and all? It's what he wanted.
There's not enough batter in England to cover the sides of that coffin.
Ripping him from the grave.
Anyway, so what is tempura? Well, super simple, really. Tempura is a popular Japanese dish in which food, in most cases seafood, vegetables, and sometimes even sushi, is lightly battered and deep fried to create like a light, crispy coating. So kind of if you see any food on a menu that's entitled tempura fried, it's simply referring to the food that has been dipped in this batter, super light batter, and then fried. That's basically what tempura is. So it doesn't have to be seafood, it doesn't have to be vegetables, it can be anything can kind of be tempura.
Okay.
As long as it's gone through like this process of being, dipped into this light batter.
And it is very light, isn't it? That's one of the things that kind of separates it from like fish and chips in the UK, for example. It's just so light, isn't it? It's like really flaky and thin.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. We'll get into the kind of the science behind how it's so light a bit later on. Okay. But the batter itself is usually super simple. It's made from plain flour, eggs, and ice cold water, kind of all mixed together. Once your batter is ready, you dip in your green beans, carrots, eggplants, radish, prawns, mushrooms, anything you have lying around, and proceed to lightly fry it in some kind of neutral oil, vegetable oil, rice oil. So yeah, super simple. It's basically just frying shit. Yeah, I mean, I've made it a few times, kind of various authentic recipes, and kind of the most important tip I kept coming across was to keep your batter as cold as possible.
Cold as ice.
Cold as ice. As I was saying, you got to keep this batter cold as possible. That seems to be the key to getting that kind of light, crispy coating that the dish is famous for. Yeah. Now I know what you're thinking. Tempura is essentially fried food. Surely it can't have an interesting history. You're partly right. It is indeed fried food, but you're completely wrong about tempura not having a fascinating origin story.
Here we go.
Let's get into it, shall we? So, to explore the origins of tempura, we have to go all the way back to the 16th century and explore the Portuguese, the Chinese, and the Japanese. Okay. The Portuguese arrived in China in 1517, and they kind of entered the area through the famed trading haven of Guangzhou, and immediately were seen as strange and unruly barbarians in kind of wooden sailing ships boats that basically were tiny in comparison to what China had.
Right. What, at this point, they already had like massive boats.
Yeah, exactly. Like the language, obviously, they spoke was unintelligible by the Chinese. Their 8 vessels, the 8 Portuguese vessels that arrived were puny by the standards of the Chinese, and kind of their origins and their where they'd come from was like super hazy.
Had they turned up to try and like invade, or are they going there to just to trade?
So like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like all kind of other Europeans in the area at the time that had entered the area, they all wanted to trade for the rich silks of China and kind of the natural resources that China had. Yeah. And I think the Chinese at the time came to know them as phalange. Which was kind of like a generic term used to refer to Europeans at the time, pesky Europeans that were coming in. Yeah. So they've entered the region. Obviously, like this only could happen because the Kingdom of Portugal had kind of burst into the Indian Ocean in 1498 when Vasco da Gama basically rounded the Cape of Good Hope in Africa for the first time. That was kind of like a turning point in world history because it meant that kind of they didn't have to go all the way around, basically. They could kind of get into the Indian Ocean by going through South Africa way.
Okay. So trade is becoming easier between those two places.
Exactly, yeah. So obviously at that point, until that point, Western Europe, so like Portugal area, had been on like the fringes of the global economy because obviously it all came through, like the Middle East and through kind of Central Eastern Europe and then Central Europe, and obviously by the time we got to the West, it was properly on the fringes. Yeah. And Portugal was on the very fringe of that fringe. Okay. But obviously, thanks to Vasco and his exploits, that would soon change. And the arrival of the Portuguese in Asia, modern history really, it's kind of this moment that springs on everything from exploring the New World, settling the New World, massacring everybody in the New World.
Raping and pillaging everybody in the New World.
Yeah, exactly.
Exploiting everyone in the New World.
Yeah.
So is this the first time that we, as Europeans, was kind of trading with the Chinese and getting these kind of exotic materials? Or had this been kind of happening beforehand anyway?
So it'd been happening with Marco Polo, which Marco Polo was 1270 to like, 1300. Time. But obviously all of that trade had been going along the Silk Road, which was like obviously mainland, and obviously mainland trade is a bit slower than sea trade. So this kind of accelerated the global economy and the global trading system. And obviously, where Portugal is, it's way west of everything in terms of the world, in terms of Europe. So this was a massive turning point for the Portuguese. So I mean, in the 16th century, Portugal had absolutely nothing on China in terms of economical power, and they were met pretty much in the same way that the Chinese meet most foreigners, with suspicion and in most cases hostility.
China were like so ahead, weren't they, at this time? Like
massively.
They kind of stuck to themselves, didn't they? They built a wall whenever that was, and then kind of just chilled in their own little place and just did mad things. And there was a book I was reading the other day which was like they discovered compasses and like the technology for compasses way before. And when like Westerners first got their hands on like a Chinese compass, they thought they didn't understand the technology. It was like alien technology, and it's something that like China had been using to navigate for like hundreds of years before that point. They were just kind of naturally ahead of everyone else in almost everything. It's mad, isn't it? Really? Clever, those Chinese.
Very clever. Very divided, though, a lot of times. Just because the country's obviously so big. Different, like, clans and whatever else arising and fighting against each other. But I mean, like, technologically, economically, they were, and gastronomically as well, they were very far ahead of most of the nations. So, I mean, the Portuguese were treated as very suspiciously by the Chinese, and the Portuguese actually did themselves no favours whatsoever to kind of warrant this suspicious thought, I suppose. So, in 1519, a bloke called Simão de Andrade arrived on the Chinese coast from Malacca. Malacca. He was described as pompous, arrogant, and spendthrift by various accounts, and he almost instantly alienated his hosts by building a fort on a Chinese island. He
no respect for where you are at all.
No, just straight away, boom, fort.
Boom, fort, mine.
This guy's playing like Age of Empires or something.
He is. What do they say he was? Spendthrift?
Spendthrift,
What does that mean?
I actually know what that means.
Spendthrift. I mean, he's good at finding a bargain. Ah, you're so spendthrift, sir.
Like,
I found this jacket upon this rock, free of charge.
You are spendthrift.
You're spendthrift, sir. Aye, I know I am.
No, it's a person who spends money in a extravagant, irresponsible way.
I have bought 4 of these coats.
Yeah.
I can only wear upon my shoulders 1 at a time, but this has influenced me none to my purchase.
Yeah, exactly. This is the sort of guy that would buy supreme bricks to build his house.
Yes.
Yeah, he instantly built a fort on a Chinese island. He forbid other foreigners from trading ahead of him, and he also abused a Chinese official who tried to assert control over the situation, tried to just sort things out. So he's just a bit of a dick, really. Yeah. He also purchased Chinese children, probably as like to use as servants.
Right.
But the locals thought that the Portuguese roasted the children for dinner.
Oh my god, that is so scary.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And the claim even made its way into like the official history of the Ming Dynasty. With the Portuguese went so far as to seize the children for food.
Oh my god. But they weren't. They were just using them as, well, I say just, but it's still awful.
Well,
but
yeah, it's still absolutely horrendous. Yeah, but
yeah. Don't worry, I'm not eating them. I'm just making them do this, and this for nothing, and whipping them when they don't. All right? So just don't worry about it.
Don't worry, come on. It's safe to say they're not popular. And I did find an extract from one Portuguese writer who mentions that
within a few days, their wretched behaviour earned them the reputation not of friends and allies, but of vile pirates and enemies.
So they're not building themselves the best reputation amongst the Chinese.
They're not, no. Wretched behaviour earned them the reputation of not friends and allies, but vile pirates and enemies.
Vile. Love that word.
Vile.
It's a very good word, isn't it?
Slaps,
very good word
it?
to like really just So yeah, I mean, quite rightly so. For the next 30 years, if the Portuguese wanted to trade goods with China, they would have to do so in the shadows. They were basically, because of this reputation that they built themselves and their actions, they were barred from official exchange.
So basically, they were like, they had this opportunity.
Yeah.
They were so lucky to be in the position they were in, because they were like of the first Europeans to have this connection and relationship with China, which could have made them prosper hugely if they just behaved themselves when they turned up. But they turned up and ended up robbing children and making fucking forts and just being bellends.
They did what white Europeans normally do.
Yeah.
When they go to a foreign land and think that the locals are not civilized and can't govern themselves, so we must settle here and civilize these folk.
Yeah, exactly. But then ended up just building a really bad reputation so that they couldn't actually trade as efficiently as they probably could have.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, if they wanted to trade, everything they had to do had to be done in the shadows. Yeah, I mean, it leads us nicely up to 1543, where 3 Portuguese sailors were aboard a Chinese ship headed to Macau. Now, unfortunately for these 3 lads, somewhat fortunately for the rest of the world, especially for me, the ship was swept off course and ended up on the Japanese island of Tanegashima.
Nice. Sounded right.
Not too bad. Tanegashima.
Yeah. What is it?
Tanegashima.
Tanegashima.
If you say it quickly, it sounds right.
Yeah, just double the speed and it's right.
Yeah, Tanegashima.
Tanegashima.
Tanegashima. So yeah, they're swept ashore on the island of Tanegashima, and it's 3 lads: Antonio Di Morta, Francisco Zimoto, and Antonio Bexito.
They do sound like 3 proper lads, them, don't they?
3 proper lads, and these 3 proper lads were the first ever Europeans to step foot on Japanese soil.
Whoa.
As soon as they landed, deemed again barbarians by the locals, because they'd just never fucking seen any of these people before. They were, they didn't have normal features. They had non-Japanese features. They were deemed unusual, and
dark hair, olive skin, sweaty, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Proper sweaty with the fucking Nando's.
The Nando's. Yeah. Peri fucking everywhere. Stinking of peri. Peri this, peri that.
Pockets of macho peas.
Pockets of macho peas. Peri salt in everything.
Yeah.
Horrid.
Portuguese Nando's eaters. Nah, shout out Nando's. Fair play.
Shout out Nando's. Yeah, if you want to sponsor us, then yeah, that'd be great.
So, when they landed, the Japanese at the time were in the middle of a civil war, as kind of Japan normally is at this time in history. They're always just kind of a lot of infighting. And eventually they actually began trading with the Portuguese. They built like a trading post. In general, they mostly traded for guns because obviously they're in a war. Portuguese have got some pretty good guns at this point. The kind of a Portuguese trading post is built in Japan, mostly starting with firearms, but then you kind of also get the trade of soap, tobacco, wool, and kind of recipes as well.
Because I think China and Japan and Asia in general, I think they were the first ones to start using gunpowder, weren't they?
China was, yeah.
China, yeah.
Not Japan.
Not Japan.
Yeah.
All right.
Japan was later on, around this time. But
yeah, I think they used it in like fireworks first, didn't they? And then it got moved over to shooting people in the face.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, in Japan, it's the culture of the samurai, so guns were not seen as an honourable way to kill someone.
So it's just sword,
bow and arrow. Type vibes. Fun fact though, a guy called Oda Nobunaga, who was a famous daimyo who basically nearly unified all of Japan for the first time, he made extensive use of these Portuguese guns, which I believe were called like arquebus. My Age of Empires knowledge is spot on. And the guns actually played a massive role in a key battle, which was like the Battle of Nagashino. Yeah, Japanese history is cool, man. Very, very cool history. Very unique compared to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And all the shoguns and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Very interesting.
But this guy was using the guns in the battle for the first time?
Yeah. So within like a year or so after they started trading, the Japanese smiths were actually able to reproduce the mechanism of these guns and actually began to mass produce Portuguese arms themselves.
Wow.
And
fair enough.
Eventually these the Japanese firearms actually were better than the Portuguese. Like the matchlocks were made of like superior quality. Just basically what the Japanese normally do. They take something foreign and just make it way better.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But they made the matchlocks way better, so they were to fire quicker and more reliable and
better at killing people.
Kind of the same as the Chinese as well. Like the Chinese did something similar. They did loads of experiments on kind of firearms of this period and just developed, like I said, better matchlocks, better sights.
Yeah.
And within like 50 years or so, the armies were just equipped with like way better, a higher number of weapons because obviously they were producing more and better quality weapons than any kind of contemporary army in Europe at the time. So
yeah, bloody hell, there you go.
So yeah, I mean the Portuguese are still in Japan and they're there until 1639 when they were banished because the ruling shogun basically believed that Christianity was a threat to Japanese society. So this is kind of another time where Japan essentially closes itself off from the rest of the world because it believes that the rest of the religions from the rest of the world and cultures from over the world
don't want them to influence them and
exactly yeah.
What were they worshipping at that point, the Japanese? Do they have a religion? Or
so I think they're Buddhists at this point.
Oh right, okay.
But I think it was more just what the Christianity would do to society as well.
Right,
not like proper clued into kind of Japanese belief system or anything like that. But they just saw it as a threat, so they were just like, everybody get the fuck out. All these missionaries get out. So yeah, they've banished everybody from the island, and as kind of the ship sailed away for the final time, the Portuguese left an undeniable mark on the island, and this was in the form of a battered and fried green bean recipe.
Whoa, okay.
And again, another fun pronunciation challenge for me to do because Portuguese is a very difficult language.
See, this episode you've either had Chinese, Japanese or Portuguese.
Yeah, it's just like the combo is just not great for me.
No, not at all.
So this fried green bean recipe is, I believe, pronounced peixinhos da horta, spelled Peixinhos. Now, how would you say that word if you were to have a go at it? Peixinhos.
Pernicious.
Pernicious.
Oh, I'd have to see it written. It's like got an X, so it's, I don't know. Sometimes X is CH, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. So it's Peixinhos de horta.
Peixinhos
de horta. Any Portuguese speakers listening in, write in and tell us how good of a job we're doing with these pronunciations. So I really need to hear that.
The thing is with Portuguese that we covered in Fish and Chip episode, we kind of touched on their love of batter, didn't we?
We did.
I mean, we won't spoil it in case you've listened to this, but not that episode, because that's a fucking corker, that one, I tell you. But but yeah, the Portuguese do seem to have an affiliation with deep frying and battering food.
They do love it.
So
So yeah, I mean, Peixinhos de horta was fried green beans, but today in Japan it's called tempura, and it's become one of the most popular dishes in the country. So peixinhos da horta, it actually roughly translates to little fish of the garden, which is an absolutely adorable name for fried green beans.
Little fish of the garden.
Little fish of the
Yeah, because
garden.
they'd have previously deep fried and battered like little whitebait and things, wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Little fishes, and they're kind of those green beans are kind of the same shape as well, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how they got the name. Apparently, they resemble kind of like small pieces of colourful fish.
Yeah,
Which not 100% on board on. Does it? Does a green bean like a colourful fish? Maybe.
Well, it's just the shape, innit? Really, more than anything.
Yeah, it's a cute name.
But
I'll let it slide, I reckon.
Yeah, that's a cute name. When we make the What the Food restaurant, that's a little dish there. That's a starter.
Definitely.
Just to get you going.
100%. So we don't actually know how this dish in particular originated or when it did, but we do know that it was a common dish eaten by the Portuguese in the 16th century. So these battered and deep fried green beans were made during Lent, when obviously Christians were not able to eat any meat because they were forbidden to do so, and they could only eat fish and vegetables.
Right. Also, what I think is funny as well is that, like, even all the way back then or since then, we've always found a way of making vegetables more palatable.
Yeah, we haven't we?
All this time we've been like, I don't want to eat my green beans. And it's like, no, we'll deep fry them. We'll be all right. Just a way of getting it down, everyone.
Bit of garlic mayo, you'll be all right. Bit of salt.
Yeah, lovely.
Quick aside though, when I was writing this and obviously learning about this whole Christian connection, I was like, cast my mind obviously back to the Portuguese trading outpost that was established.
Oh yeah.
And I imagine in Japan, and I imagine like the first contact back home in Portugal, like you can imagine that the news being like, yeah, we've just found this new island and we've established a trading post here. You can just imagine the missionaries absolutely licking their lips at all those conversions that are about to happen, can't you?
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, like
God,
Shaq,
so many more
like
Christians.
Shaq gif where he's like rubbing his hands.
yeah, licking his lips.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh god.
And obviously they immediately sent Christian missionaries to the island and quickly
of course they did.
began spreading the good word of the Lord.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things because like Christianity was spread so aggressively, not only because everyone was like really passionate about it, but also because the money side of it, wasn't it? It was like they kind of forced followers to give back to the church, didn't they? And it was always like a financial, like donations, like if you believe in God, give as much as you can.
Yeah.
That was always such like a driving factor for like the spread of Christianity across the world, is wanting that financial input from everyone.
Yeah.
There's a lot of greed behind that as well, wasn't there?
A lot of greed. Yeah. Didn't Liam Neeson go? He was one of them, wasn't he?
He was one of them. Yeah, he did that.
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, he went. I never saw it. It looked like a long, boring film, but
Yeah. Martin Scorsese, wasn't it?
it was, yeah.
What's it called?
Silence.
Silence. Yeah.
Perfect name for a boring film.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't know. I think it's supposed to be all right. Who knows? I might sit down and watch it one day.
Nah.
It's supposed to be very long, though.
Yeah, a bit too long for me. Martin Scorsese makes long films, doesn't he?
Yeah, is it Adam Driver as well?
I think so. I think it might be.
Yeah. Got a good cast, to be fair.
All-star cast, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, the word tempura comes from Latin, and it comes from the Latin word of ad tempora quaresimi, which basically means in the time of Lent.
In the time of Lent.
Yeah.
Right.
Ad tempora quaresimi, some shit like that.
Okay.
Didn't go to a private school, so we didn't get taught Latin. The Japanese mistook tempura as a dish's name, and basically it just stuck from that point on.
Just a mistake.
Funny, yeah, exactly. Fun little way of naming a dish. It kind of happens quite a lot, that doesn't it? Like a dish will get taken to another country, and they'll
take like the least most important word
and be like
in its translation. This is the name.
Amazing.
Yeah,
great name.
Yeah. Okay, so that goes back to the fact that people were eating this around Lent when they weren't eating meat.
Exactly.
They were kind of like battering fish and vegetables.
Yeah,
and
exactly. Yeah,
that kind
it was
of thing.
basically peixinhos da horta was basically born as a substitute for meat when Jesus would be angry at you for eating cows.
Yeah,
and
one of many strange kind of religious rules.
Yeah, exactly. And it was also a dish that the poor would make often when they couldn't actually afford meat. You know, they just whip up a batch of these kind of fried green beans, and away you go. Because, like you said, it makes kind of boring vegetables palatable, which makes sense. And weirdly, I found a bit of info that said that sailors would also fry green beans to preserve them during long journeys, kind of like, you know,
like a protective kind of coating.
Yeah, exactly. You know, kind of like how we do with like cured and salted meat.
Yeah.
But I thought about...
So you get this when you're on the boats for a long time, you get the scurvy.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't eat your vegetables or your fruit, you're gonna get the scurvy.
Get the scurvy and your toe's gonna fall off.
Your toe's gonna fall off because all you're eating is salty fish. So make sure you take your tempura green beans.
Well, I thought about this, and like, you've been at sea for, I don't know, 2 months, right? What's that fried green bean gonna look like sitting in a barrel after 2 months? Because they go limp after like half an hour.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be nice.
And also the oil is gonna kind of like disintegrate the vegetable, isn't it?
Yeah. I thought so.
It's going to kind of like help break it down. Whereas you'd have thought like the green beans just on their own would
I think we need to
survive a bit longer. I don't know.
Do a bit of a science experiment here. Next time we're together, we'll fry a green bean and then we'll put it in a jar and see how long it lasts.
Put it in a wooden barrel, take it on a ship and just leave it for a while and see what it's like when we get to Japan.
We'll document the whole journey on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
That's what the podcast becomes.
Such an effort just to see whether...
One.
Yeah, it turns out it does get mouldy, so we're just going to turn back.
We're not even left like fucking the English channel. It's already mouldy.
No, yeah. It took a week. It's mush. We're coming back.
We actually didn't bring any other food apart from this one green bean as well, so we're a bit fucked. So we're going to have to eat it anyway.
Yeah, really didn't think this through. We were too focused on like the views we were going to get for this episode. So our life's at stake. So I don't know. Yeah.
So yeah, we know kind of the precursor to tempura, and we know that it was introduced to the island by the Portuguese. It was introduced to the Japanese by the Portuguese via the Chinese. Complicated. And we know that tempura was introduced around the commercial port city of Nagasaki. Yes. I don't know if you know where Nagasaki is in terms of Japan's geography, but it's like the most western bit of Japan.
Right, okay.
So it's like super, super west.
Nagasaki.
And it's in Nagasaki where kind of the Portuguese, the Dutch and the Chinese traders and missionaries kind of did their business with Japan. Foreigners were not actually allowed any kind of further into Japan, so they weren't allowed to, up to Edo at that point, or Kyoto or anything like that. They all had to, if you wanted to trade or kind of send missionaries or whatever with Japan, you have to have done it through Nagasaki.
Right, okay, so they were kind of, so you've travelled all that way and you get there and you literally just like on the jetty, just trade your shit and get back on your boat.
Fuck off.
Can't see any of the lovely, can't see any of the lovely scenery. Can't taste any of the local delicacies or
going to see Fuji.
lay with a local Japanese woman.
No,
can't do any of that. Just got to get straight back on your boat.
Yeah, can't get any of that censored
with your soggy peas.
Censored poo nanny. Yeah.
It's not the only soggy pea that's getting back on that boat, is it?
Let's sailor.
Sailor.
In the Navy.
Any of your fine Japanese women knocking about? No, alright, sorry, me.
Get back on me boat.
I'm back on my boat. See you later. I'll be back in 4 months, 2 stars, and 8 seasons later. Me.
4 months, 2 stars, and 8 seasons. How long is that?
3 weeks.
So tempura, so tempura that's what we're covering today, isn't it? Tempura. So it's the technique of tempura, the frying technique was something.
The taknak
of tempura was
the taknak.
The taknak of tempura was something that was completely new to Japan. You see, unlike most countries on earth, there had never really been a tradition in Japan of frying food. Kind of, even though like, neighboring China had always had like fried dishes and much of its culture had come to Japan kind of centuries, earlier. Somehow like frying food never really caught on Japan itself. So they never really had this like...
this notion of kind of like putting crispy batter on things.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you don't put crispy batter on something, do you? Like, you don't. The batter isn't already crispy when you put it on, is it?
Shut up, Andy. But I don't know whether this is just like my sort of very top line understanding of like Asian cuisine, but it probably is. So just But Japanese food does feel a lot fresher than Chinese food, and obviously like I don't know, it just like with the whole sushi thing, like the raw fish, everything seems like a lot. There's more of an emphasis to eat something like right away in Japan at its most fresh.
Yeah, 100%. Japanese cuisine.
Whereas I don't feel like that's quite as stronger notion in China.
No. Japanese cuisine basically reveres freshness and seasonality above almost everything else. That's kind of like the most important thing to them.
Okay, so I was right. That wasn't a top line.
No, you smashed
that was
it. You smashed it. And you kind of dig on Chinese cuisine as well. Is probably right as well.
Yeah. Okay, sweet.
Fucking eat anything out there, won't they?
Yeah. I mean, their cuisine is fresh. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's definitely 8, 7, 6 out of 10 freshness. But you do get you get a lot of fried things in China, don't you?
do.
A lot of preserved things and dried things,
A lot of chicken heads, chicken feet, tea eggs, Chinese tea eggs, whatever they're called. A lot of aged stuff. Very hit and miss Chinese cuisine, I think. Thinking about it, they do produce a lot of nice stuff, but a lot of strange stuff.
The thing is, I need to go to China. I've never been, so I need to go and really sort of like get myself involved. Yeah, I do.
You do. So I mean, at this point, frying in Japan isn't a thing. And a nice little quote that I found to kind of reinforce the point that the Portuguese were responsible comes from a guy called Virgilio Gomes, who was or is a gastronomic researcher and author of a book on kind of Portuguese style recipes. He writes...
Aren't you a gastronomic researcher? I'd kind of give you that title.
Yeah, that's on my LinkedIn.
I've
recently made that change. Because I feel like it fits my day-to-day endeavours quite well.
Yeah, I feel like you should quote yourself on this podcast sometimes.
Yeah, well, maybe. Yeah. Now that we've got 20 episodes under the belt, I've got a bit of clout.
I once said this, and then I do your voice.
Oh, you?
Yeah.
Nah, all right, yeah, fucking hell. What's into that one? Set yourself up for that one, didn't you? I'm so funny, man.
It's man.
I'm very good at impressions.
Let's not fall out on the podcast. That wouldn't be good, would it? Can you imagine? Right, we're done, guys.
20 episodes.
Bye. See you next week.
A live breakup. We edit it and fucking release it as well.
Yeah. Bye, guys. See you. Sorry about this, but it's just a minute. Bye.
What did you fall out of? Tempura.
Tempura. So I was just about to do a quote.
He was.
So who's this? Sorry, just completely derailed you there.
Is Virgilio Gomes, who wrote a gastronomic researcher, as we already established, and he authored several books on kind of Portuguese style recipes.
It was the Portuguese who taught them to drop an ingredient in bubbling hot oil for the first time.
Nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very simple.
It was the Portuguese who taught them to drop an ingredient into bubbling hot oil for the first time. So they just weren't using that cooking method at all.
They weren't.
Up until this point.
No, it had never caught on up until this point.
No.
And he adds that Japan wasn't alone either. In places like Angola and Brazil, the technique of deep frying was not recorded before the arrival of the Portuguese.
No. It's very, when you actually break it down and think about deep frying, it's a very unnatural thing to do in a way, isn't it? Like you're using oil, which is kind of like quite an unnatural thing. You've had to go through like a pretty lengthy process to get the oil itself. You've had to like extract it,
which at this point is not easy to do.
Not easy to do, yeah. So that's one thing, and that's just like a weird practice in itself. Yeah. And then when you've got this oil, you're then putting a shitload of it into a pan, and then you're dropping something into it, and obviously the thought off the top of the head is like, whatever I put into this liquid is just going to kind of boil it, like similar to water. But it ends up having this kind of like opposite effect where it actually makes it more crispy and kind of like dried out. So it's just pretty weird when you think about deep frying. It's kind of like a really strange thing that we do.
Very strange, very wasteful.
So you can kind of see
very
why.
Wasteful as well.
Super wasteful.
Like you can only use this oil for a certain amount of time and then you just throw it away. Well, obviously now you can kind of convert it into fuel and
other things,
recycle it and whatever you can do. But at the time you just do it,
chucked it
for as long as it's like a decent colour, and then when it goes horrible black, you just dump it into the ocean, I imagine.
Yeah, in a river. It just like goes and fucks up someone else down the road.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Job done.
Job done. Crunchy peas. All the fish down the river are dying and everyone's struggling down there. But yeah, so you can kind of see then like why it is a new thing for these people. Like it's not a surprise that they're kind of new to this cooking method.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And kind of just how the Japanese do with absolutely everything. They took the dish and the technique and made it better in almost every way. They really kind of elevated this like simple dish and took it to new heights very quickly. So when the Japanese kind of got hold of it and ran with it, they lightened the batter so it became crispier. They changed the fillings to kind of utilize more local fresh ingredients. Like the incredible seafood that they have, the amazing kind of umami shiitake mushrooms, the sweet potatoes that they have, the just a great kind of local produce that the island produces.
Because I guess that's one of the things that does make tempura different, is that you're cooking it at a really high heat with very thin batter, so you don't have to wait very long for the batter to cook.
No.
So you're actually preserving the vegetable and you're keeping it fresh.
Yeah.
So it's still crunchy and fresh underneath that batter.
Exactly.
And that obviously, from what you just said, is like sounding like the Japanese influence on it. It's like, let's thin the batter out so that it's not in the oil for too long and it's turning it mushy and taking all those fresh, gorgeous nutrients out of the veg. Let's do a quick fry, and then our vegetables stay just how we like them, nice and fresh, but you're still getting that crunchiness.
Exactly, yeah. Well, it's exactly right. It's like keeping the veg or seafood like the star of the show, and it's just using the batter to add a bit of like texture and a bit of kind of difference.
Something else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Different element to the to whatever you find. So worth mentioning, probably at this point, kind of back to the oil side of things, that tempura was very expensive. It wasn't like a dish that was eaten by your everyday man on a regular basis. And this was largely because at the time, oil in Japan was expensive. And of course, to make tempura, you need a shitload of oil. Yeah. But kind of during the Edo period, which we'll kind of get onto in a moment, harvests of rapeseed and
rapeseed. He went at absolute rape speed, this guy. He was absolutely rape speed.
He was going rape
in
speed.
and out.
That's quite sinister, isn't it, really? Rape speed.
Yeah, so sinister. That's horrible. Oh, God.
Rape seed.
Anyway.
Rape seed. Basically, right, they defined, they developed oil refineries.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because I was going to say, when you were saying it was expensive, this is before a time when there was factories and mass producing of oils. This was often probably done by hand, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. By hand.
You can see why it's so expensive.
Yeah, 100%. But could
you imagine trying to squeeze seeds to get oil out of it?
Don't get me started. I didn't realise that, shit like almond milk and oat milk was obviously been around for a long time. Can you imagine trying to like squeeze almonds so milk comes out of them?
So water comes out of it. Milky substance comes out. Like nuts are the driest thing going.
Isn't it? How is there liquid in that?
That can't be good for the environment, can it? All this nut drinks we're having, surely.
You're drinking a lot of nut drinks, yeah.
Nut drinks.
Getting a lot of
nut milk drinks.
Nut juice in your mouth.
That doesn't make it any better, that. Oh, you know what I mean. Like, I mean, I don't know. Let's cover that. That's a great topic.
Nut milk.
Because nut milk. Because we have said all along, we'd like to do like corn and sort of like synthetic food. There is, even if it's going to be a modern history, there's still going to be a history there that's interesting.
Like that fake meat and shit like that.
Fake meat, like Beyond Meat. There's a lot to talk about. But so maybe we should do an episode on nut milks.
Maybe. Might get sued if we do Beyond Meat though.
yeah. Maybe we'll take the brand out of it. We'll just
rather than making any money whatsoever on this podcast, we've just lost like our entire livelihoods.
Yeah.
At least my Beyond Meat stocks
episode 21 we got. Yeah, exactly. Episode 21 we got banned from making podcasts forever. So
not great, lads, not great. But the development of these oil refineries lessened the price of oil and meant that kind of deep frying was kind of more accessible to the common people. Thanks to this, tempura quickly became a popular snack that was firstly kind of mostly served between meals as a snack, really. Mainly kind of still on the western parts of the island at this point. We've not kind of travelled further into the east, into Tokyo way yet, or to Edo. So fun little fact that I found on my travels. So according to one source that I found, the first shogun of Japan, Tokugawa Ieyasu, reportedly loved tempura.
Wow, couldn't get enough. And there's even an anecdote that he was so engrossed in tempura that one day he ate too much of it and died. Oh my God. Really?
Yeah, so apparently he just ate so much fried stuff that eventually led to his death.
I mean, you do start feeling a bit ill after you've eaten too much fried food. What a mad guy though.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it was false because he likely died from either cancer or syphilis. But not great. I think I prefer tempura, to be fair. Death by tempura than either of the other two.
Yeah, absolutely. What was it, syphilis or something else?
Cancer.
Oh, wow. Right, yeah. I'll take tempura.
Yeah, definitely. So in the kind of the late 17th century, the flow of culture, including culinary recipes and whatever else, was very much from west to east in Japan. So it obviously travelled from Nagasaki through eastwards towards kind of Kyoto, Osaka, eventually that way. And, you know, because of this, obviously, it took time for new ideas and culture to spread to the rest of Japan.
Yeah.
So you can kind of gradually see tempura traveling eastwards and kind of landing in the various places along the way kind of Tokyo and New.
Well, Japan in particular, with it being an island, you can see why it would take so much longer for these new ideas to kind of take a hold.
Definitely.
Yeah.
100%.
Because you're saying it took a while, didn't it, to get from the coast over to these other major cities.
Yeah.
So you can see why they'd have probably put up quite a lot of, not a lot of fight, but I just think like people would just be like, what's this?
Yeah.
And
100%.
it would just take so long for them to actually give it a go and see what it's about.
Yeah. It's like my nan eating Thai food.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Just not about it. Just don't trust
Not
her.
about it. No. She'll get there. She'll get there. She'll love it one day.
Yeah. She'll
But
she'll get there.
you've got an absolute mission on your hands to get to that point.
I have to go for a lot of massamam curries to get to.
Yeah, it's easier in with the nice creamy
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
It's like a stroganoff, Nan. Like, you like stroganoff, yeah? Yeah, it's like that. Just think about stroganoff, but just a little bit of something else there, yeah? Next week, it's like weeping tiger.
Yeah, just straight away.
Hottest curry there is.
Just absolutely goes 2-footed into it.
You like chili con carne. This is chili, but just actual chilies.
And nothing else. Just a bowl of
Nothing
chilies, Nan.
else.
Do you not like it? That's racist, Nan. What do you mean you don't like it?
That's racist, Nan. Eat it. So bad.
Just a bowl of uncut chilies as well. Just like whole chilies and just give her a spoon.
Eat it, Nan. Don't be racist.
Oh god. Yeah, I mean in some places like Kyoto, when tempura arrived. So Kyoto, the region is it's got very strong ties to Buddhism, which obviously forbids kind of the eating of meat. So in places like Kyoto, vegetables were the primary kind of source of ingredients that were battered and then fried.
Yeah. Same as India, isn't it? Like that's another country that's hugely Buddhist, and
exactly.
they've got sort of like whole states that are vegetarian, haven't they?
Yeah, 100%. And vegetarianism is called Shogun within kind of like the Buddhist vocabulary. So tempura was called Shogun tempura.
Whoa, okay.
Makes sense, eh?
Yeah.
So it's reached Kyoto, kind of reaches the other areas, Osaka and everything like that. And it's not until the late 18th century that tempura arrives in Edo, which is, do you know where Edo is?
Nah.
Tokyo. That's what Tokyo used to be called.
Whoa, Edo. Well, it's kept a little bit of the O part, hasn't it? Tokyo. Kind of.
I actually think Tokyo translates. It means Eastern capital. Yeah, I think that's what it translates.
Eastern capital.
Because
okay. For a second
time,
there, I thought you were going to be like it translates to crispy batter.
Yeah, they don't.
I was like, right on.
The capital. Yeah, that's a good name. That, yeah. And the capital of Japan, crispy batter.
Yeah. Kyoto, actually, the translation of that is still fresh. Oh.
Brilliant. No, it doesn't sound.
Fukushima, crisp to the touch.
It's a lot of crisp-related capitals knocking around.
Yeah. It's all related.
All related. So it's not until the late 18th century when tempura reaches the walls of Tokyo, Edo at the time. At the time, soba and unagi were kind of the most popular dishes in the area. So street vendors were obviously serving up these.
Soba as in soba noodles.
Soba noodles, yeah. Do you like soba noodles?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Love them.
Great, aren't they?
Yeah, really good.
I fucking love them, cold and hot both.
Ooh, lovely. They're kind of like ribbon style, aren't they?
Yeah, it's like buckwheat, isn't it? It's like they're like brown.
Yeah,
very nice.
Very nice good.
Noodles. Very nice noodles. And they take like 2 minutes to cook as well.
Yeah,
so
good for a little fatty like me who can't wait for his dinner.
I want it now.
So you'd have loved it this time because street vendors all over Tokyo were serving up soba. Then they were serving up unagi, which I'm not 100% sure what unagi is. Any guesses?
What's it called?
Unagi.
Unagi. Unagi is a jelly-like substance made from aloe vera. It's really yummy when you spread it on cheese.
aloe vera on cheese. Just think about the words that left your orifice then. That was not right.
No. And also, they don't really eat cheese in Japan,
No,
do they?
they don't. I don't even know if aloe vera grows in Japan, does it?
I don't know. Hopefully. How are they going to deal with sunburn?
They don't get sunburn.
Oh,
I'm joking, they probably do.
It's too cloudy.
No, you're right with the jelly-like substance because I think unagi is freshwater eel.
Oh, okay.
So at the time,
The
right,
naji. Like, I got the naji thing. Like I was expecting some kind of fish, gooey fish substance.
right?
And I don't know why I went with aloe vera, but
Yeah, you went way off course. You're like them three Portuguese
my
sailors in the
brain-
beginning. Way off course.
yeah, way of course. No, because my mind first went to fish and then it went to aloe, but it should have just stayed at fish.
That's a crazy jump. That's a crazy jump. You went from fish to aloe vera.
Because I was thinking about gooiness. I was thinking about gooey fish, and then I just like, and then I remembered like
vera?
because the inside of an aloe vera like leaf is really super gooey.
Yeah, but man, there's other gooey substances out there.
There's
that
other
are like
gooey. I
more-
know my brain. I don't know why my brain. It's just my brain, Andy. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's weird, isn't it? But on WoW, on World of Warcraft, those Nagi, they were like fish people, weren't they? So that's how I got to fish.
Right. Yeah, fucking nerd. Never played that. So
Well, a lot of people in Japan probably do. So,
yeah,
probably whilst eating
unagi.
yeah, fighting the Nagi in World of Warcraft while eating unagi.
Fighting
Carry
them
on, I'm
fighting them on two fronts. So you've got soba and unagi, which were kind of already popular street food dishes at the time. And then along comes tempura, and this kind of enters the market as the third most popular dish, really. The risk of fire when cooking tempura is obviously quite high, which meant that it was a good fit for like outdoor stalls. And also the risk of fire meant that it was actually prohibited to make any deep fried foods in your home in Japan at this point.
Really? Wow.
Yep. Remember at this point, most houses in Japan are still made from paper and wood. So if you fuck up your tempura,
frying a shitload of tempura.
Yeah, exactly. If you fuck up your tempura, your gaff's going down in a puff of smoke. This is like high stakes, Grant. Like,
yeah. Fire engines just left, right, and centre. Everyone's eating this.
so
statewide emergency.
Statewide, yeah, exactly. Because fucking Milo can't stop scranning his tempura aloe vera.
Aloe vera tempura. That'd be nice.
No, it wouldn't. No, it would not.
No, it wouldn't.
Fried medicine, basically. That's what it would taste like.
Yeah. Don't knock it till you try it.
No, yeah, you're right. So it starts off as kind of like a street vendor, a popular kind of street food, and thanks to like the incredible quality and the availability of seafood within the area, obviously the Tokyo area and the fish markets and whatever else, it quickly became the main ingredient for tempura within the Edo region. Seafood was basically what you wanted tempura at the time if you were eating things in this area.
Yeah. Well, fish and batter, is something that's been eaten for hundreds of years.
It's tried and tested, isn't it?
Tried and tested. It just works, doesn't it?
Exactly. It's also here at kind of this period of time where they also begin to add water to the flour to increase the crispiness. And this technique is still practiced to this very day. And this is where, I said earlier how we get into the kind of the science behind why this makes a difference.
Yeah.
We're going to get our Brainiac lab coats on and we're going to quickly jump into it. So when the batter is mixed with kind of ice cold water, it avoids activating the wheat gluten within the flour, which this wheat gluten, when it's activated, it causes like the dough-like stickiness that you get in other types of batter. And instead, because you've added this cold water, and it's not activated the wheat gluten, you get this crispy texture which kind of lightly coats whatever you're dipping in it and gives us kind of the characteristics of tempura. That's how it does it.
Lovely. Okay. Yeah. Because again, like I was saying before, like when you fry something, you'd think adding water to something would make it wetter and more gooey, but like in this case, it has the opposite effect, doesn't it? It makes it crispier. Just chemistry, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. Chemistry. Biology and chemistry, yeah. It's also around this time that they started using skewers so that your fingers won't get greasy.
Or tempura'd fingers. You don't want to tempura your own fingers. It's going to be fucking sore.
So until the Meiji period, which began in 1868, tempura was most commonly sold in the stands and it was primarily sold as a snack. But But once the Meiji period begins, this is when you start to see tempura restaurants begin to open up all over the place. And it's from this point on that the true good word of tempura starts to spread all over. So it's in the Meiji period where kind of Japan, but also kind of the world of tempura goes absolutely nutty, and kind of all kind of different kinds of tempura dishes begin to emerge. The first one that I'm going to cover, there's obviously they all spring up in different times, and I couldn't find kind of origin dates for all of them, but I've just thought I'd cover off a few kind of popular ones that I found on the way. First one is Uzashiki tempura. Probably butchered it. Probably nailed it, actually. This is when a tempura chef basically prepares the tempura in front of all the diners in kind of a separate private room.
Oh, nice.
So like he'll...
a spectacle.
Yeah, exactly. So he'll bring out like a big old basket of fresh vegetables and a big old net of fish into your little private room with like, I don't know, your nan, your mum, your dog, whatever. And he's like battering it in front of you and frying it in front of you. So you get it like, you can't get it any fresher really unless you actually go to a farm or the sea and do it on a boat or on a tractor.
Yeah.
This is like
it's not even travelling from the kitchen to your table. The kitchen is at your table.
No, that extra kind of oxygen isn't touching it, so it's just going straight into you.
Yeah, I mean, if the Japanese at this point go any further with this, they'll be tempura frying it in the mouths of people.
Now you might be on something there, mate. Might be on something.
Because they want it as fresh as you possibly can. Well, just fry it in your mouth.
Fry it in your mouth, yeah.
Create a mouth fryer.
Yeah.
Contraption that you can just immediately, like as soon as it's ready, you just chomp down.
Yeah, I've done that before with cereal, you know, like just emptying a bit of cereal from the packet into your mouth and then just a bit of milk into your mouth.
Yeah, it's like that, but just a lot hotter.
Yeah. So yeah, it's basically like a celebration, I suppose. Like you wouldn't do this on the regs. You're not going out every Friday and having this. It's like
it's a birthday party, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we really have an equivalent over here in terms of this style of cooking. Maybe Toby Carvery, when you go up and slice the meat in front of you, maybe.
Yeah.
Don't really cook like this, do we? We don't really have like a culture like this.
No, where the chef cooks right in front of you.
Yeah, mate. Like I've been in French restaurants where someone will come over and bring like cook like pancakes next to you.
Yeah. I've been to a restaurant before. Like they'll or like if you order chicken, they'll bring out like the whole chicken and kind of carve it table side onto a plate.
That's not an English restaurant, though, is it?
No. Yeah, it's more like French style, like you said, isn't it?
Yeah.
That I think.
Yeah, interesting why we don't have that. But I mean, this style emerges and quickly becomes
because we're too busy in the kitchen microwaving everything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not as fresh, is it?
Yeah. Plus, there's only so many ways you can cut a potato. It's not very interesting, is it?
Bring the oven out. Yeah. Plug it in the middle of the restaurant. It'll be done in an hour and 20. Just watch that, yeah? Give me a shout when it's done. Goes out for a cigarette.
Just
My jacket's done.
Single potato.
Yeah.
Quick, it's burning.
It's burning.
Sorry,
hell.
mate. Chef's gone to the shop.
He's gone home. Are you all right taking that out yourself? There's the filling.
Just a bit of tuna.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Yeah, that's probably why. So this style quickly emerges and becomes a hit with the locals and kind of visitors to the island. Great. Don't think I've had it. Didn't have it when I was over there. But all the descriptions that I've read sounds great. Really want it. Another dish that emerges is tendon tempura, which is like a type of donpori, which is like a one bowl meal of rice topped with meat and vegetables, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Tendon is like a crisp tempura laid over freshly steamed rice, and it's kind of topped with delicious like soy dressings and fresh vegetables, whatever.
Well, it's just like a sheet of tempura crispiness.
No. So it's tempura, like whatever you choose, prawns, vegetables, whatever,
on top of the rice.
Laid over a top. Yeah, not just a sheet of batter over top of you.
I was like, what the fuck is this? Like a Japanese crouton.
A massive Japanese crouton.
Tempura, yeah. That could kind of work though. Think about that.
Yeah,
like
you crack through
a bowl
it
of rice, and you got like a sheet, like a square sheet of tempura batter.
Yeah.
And then like a bit of a filling on top, like some meat on top. But it can't be wet meat because obviously it would just have to be kind of like a dry barbecue pork or something on top, and then you crack through and off you go.
Yeah, that would work. It might be on something there. Or would you put the like wet meaty filling below the tempura? So then that's kind of penetrating the rice as you're working your way through.
The only problem is just the steam of that might come up and...
Yeah, well, how slowly are you eating it?
Well, true, yeah.
Yeah.
There's your food, enjoy. Eat it quick.
Eat it quick. Go.
Yeah, we're on some of that.
Yeah, run some. But tendon tempura, I'm absolutely all for it. Had it loads of times. It's great. Top stuff.
Oh, lovely.
Then you've got ten soba or tempura soba, which is exactly the same as what we've just mentioned, but instead of rice, you use soba noodles. It's either served hot or cold. Great stuff. Absolutely love soba.
Actually, I love Japanese food.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, I really do.
Proper good stuff.
Yeah. I want to find decent. I mean, I'm sure there will be, but here in Leeds, I want to find a Japanese restaurant and go because I've not had proper Japanese food for ages.
Yeah.
So I'm well overdue.
Well overdue. Tempura kind of continued to evolve, and it continues to evolve very much to this day, really. You still got people kind of inventing new ways to fry shit in a light batter and elevate it to new heights. I found various restaurants in mainly America, but some in Japan, where you can get the likes of tempura chocolate chip cookies.
Whoa.
Tempura Oreos. One amazing place that I found did tempura ice cream, which sounds fucking delightful. I'm a big fan of that shit. I'm a big fan of mixing like hot and cold stuff together.
Yeah, me too.
Like, have you ever had baked Alaska?
No, I haven't.
Oh, mate.
I really want to.
Mate.
Is that good?
Yeah, top notch.
What is it? It's like deep fried ice cream, isn't it?
So you get like a sponge cake as the base. So sponge cake, just plain sponge cake as a base. Dollop of ice cream on top of the sponge cake, and then you pour meringue over the top of the ice cream and kind of coat all of the ice cream in meringue, and then you put it in a grill, and then it obviously cooks a meringue on top, and then leaves the ice cream kind of intact in the middle, and then you cut through.
Oh my goodness.
Crispy meringue.
God, that sounds unbelievable.
Yeah, mate. Next time you're in a
I
restaurant,
want a bowl of that right now.
yeah, keep your eyes peeled for a baked Alaska. Live for it.
Oh my God.
So
they're kind of tempuraing different things nowadays. They're trying it out. I mean, the equivalent is a fried Mos bar in Glasgow, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
exactly,
We're all at it.
It's all
We're
just a different
having go.
batter. That's all it is at the end of the day. Just a fancy sounding batter.
Fancy sounding, but well, yeah, but I think it has its place. You don't really want a really thick,
No.
doughy batter on everything. I think.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love it. I'm just saying there's more class. Tempura sounds a bit classier, doesn't it, than fried Mars bar? If it was tempura Mars bar, you'd be like, sounds like quite an inventive recipe, that.
Yeah, going to a fish and chip shop in Glasgow. Hiya, can you do mine tempura? What the fuck are you on about? Get out of here now.
They'd have no idea what you were saying.
No, they wouldn't.
No.
Tempura. What the fuck is that, man?
So that's it. That's all I have for tempura. Fascinating origins with kind of the Portuguese arriving on the island, getting kind of
too big for their boots.
Too big for the boots with the Chinese side of things. Getting washed ashore on Japan, being the first kind of Europeans to step foot on the soil, and then getting kicked out around kind of the 1600s because they were deemed as a threat to Japanese rule. Obviously left behind kind of their cuisine legacy. Which the Japanese took and elevated to new heights and kind of spread from one corner of Japan to the other, with kind of all the different regions in between putting their own stamp on it and using kind of the best ingredients that they had available to them within the dish, and kind of just grew from there. Now it's like, massive all over the world. It's tempura restaurants.
Well, it's everywhere.
Yeah,
exactly. And it's also like available as like ready snacks, isn't it? Like I remember at Christmas time, like I bought some little snacks from Tesco, and there was like tempura. Yeah, prawns. It's just become part of our everyday, hasn't it, really?
Yeah, exactly. When Caddy and I made sushi a couple of weeks ago, we bought some tempura prawns ready to go, stick them in the oven, and then put them in a few California rolls. Tempura California rolls.
Oh, lovely.
Good stuff.
Well, there you go. Bloody hell. Tempura.
20 episodes.
Yeah.
Boom.
20 episodes, big 2-0. I really enjoyed that. No, that was cool. That was, like you said, like religion played a big part in there with, the Portuguese taking Catholicism over and getting booted out. And I think we learned a lot there, especially like distinctions between China and Japan as well.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of people kind of lump those two cuisines into one, but we kind of touched a little bit there on the differences between those, and think that's something interesting that I think we'll explore as well in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I think we'll be going to this part of the world a lot in the in kind of the next year. There's just so many kind of fascinating origin stories and amazing foods that we want to learn more about.
Well, this is it, isn't it? It's what we touched on before, like so much history in this part of the world, and with history comes cuisine as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
100%.
madness. Well, there you go, guys. Thank you Thank you so much for listening. Appreciate it.
Cheers, fellas and girls.
Andy, smash the research as always.
Thanks, mate.
We're still pumping out content on the Instagram page, so if you want to follow us on there, it's What the Food Podcast on Instagram. And also, if you're enjoying the podcast, please share it with someone that you love, someone that you care about.
Definitely.
I think the best way to get a podcast out there to this day is still just good old word of mouth. And there's only so many people that I can annoy, like family, friends, and at work. Getting everyone to listen is starting to piss people off. So if you guys can help me out.
And if you have any themes that you want us to cover, shout at us. Let us know.
Yeah. All right then. Thanks again for listening, guys. And don't forget, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, we're now away for a month as Andy's getting married and we've got lots of bits and pieces going on. So we'll be back on Monday, the 2nd of May. So make sure you whack the date in your diaries because we'll be back before you know it. Thanks again and we'll see you soon. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye.